Welcome to the Basics of Notifications tutorial. In this demonstration, we will walk through the steps to show how to set up an email notification within ELM Enterprise Manager. We introduced a new way of assigning notifications with the release of ELM version 6.5. Previously, notifications were rules-based, where event filters acted as trigger points and were tied to notification methods based on a rule. Now notification methods are streamlined and are triggered directly from the event views following the what you see is what you get concept. There are several notification methods available in ELM Enterprise Manager, including using a pager, running a command script, and several others. Today we are going to walk through the most common of them all, the email notification. To begin, we'll open the results container and then expand the event views container. Here we'll see all the pre-configured event views in ELM, as well as the PCI event views that were added by installing the PCI Reports Management Pack. If we look closely at the icons by each view, we can see that there are a few that are slightly different than the rest. These are the visual representation that there is a notification method assigned to this event view, so any event appearing in that view will launch a notification. For today's example, we're going to take a look at our All Security Events view, and as we scroll through, we can see there are some Terminal Services Disconnected events. Unfortunately, we have some users who close out their RDP connections instead of logging out like we'd prefer. Now, instead of creating a new notification method for this entire security event view, as it may be tempting to do, instead we're going to create a new custom event view focusing on this terminal services event, then walk through setting up our email notification method. There are a couple different ways to create a new event view, such as the right-click shortcut. Today we're going to walk through the wizard from the main event views list, and start by clicking the shortcut in the task pane to create a view. We'll step through the event view settings here, and for the include filters we'll select two. First will be the Security Terminal Services Disconnected, and then we'll select the Security W2K8 Terminal Services User Disconnected, so we are covering both our Windows 2003 and 2008 servers. We're going to skip the exclude filters here. Note that we could choose an existing sample notification method, but we'll instead create a new one in the next phase and go over it in more detail. Now we'll enter a name fitting for our view, in this case Term Services Disconnect, and also an appropriate description. Once the event view is created, we'll be able to see it in our list of event views in the left pane of the console. Now that our new event view is created and we can see that we're getting the event data we want, we'll open the Notification Methods folder underneath it and select the shortcut for a new notification method. Walking through the wizard, we'll choose the mail notification and begin entering our SMTP hostname. It's always best practice to include a from field address to help avoid instances where the messages might get stuck in a spam filtering process if the from field is not recognized in the outgoing message. The next step is to address the message to an email address. If this message was intended to go out to a support group, then we'd enter that email address here. The subject line and message field both utilize direct variables from the event message itself. In our case here, the source, type of event, and the computer name field will automatically populate the subject line. You can also see the fields here which specify which event view triggered this notification. If you get a bunch of notification emails coming that you don't want, you can backtrack to the source from within the email itself. Freeform text entry is also supported here in the event that we want to customize the message even further. This screen gives us the option to further customize the outgoing message. We can give it a maximum message length or compress the white space by removing the line breaks and tabs. This is handy if the message will be viewed on a mobile device such as a smartphone. The next step is to assign this notification method to our Term Services event view here that we just created, found in the views list. Now let's take a look at threshold settings. Here we can specify when a message will be sent out and how many consecutive occurrences will be sent. By default, we activate after occurring just one time. However, if we wanted to know only after something such as multiple logon failures occur, we could go ahead and change these settings. An example is if we were to get 3 consecutive logon failures within 10 seconds, the ELM server would keep track of how many times that event has been registered and alert us only after this threshold has been met. So we're getting notified for 1 out of every 3 logon failures that would occur within 10 seconds. Another option is to go ahead and receive the first few that occur, then sleep. Here we're setting the threshold to send the first 3 events that occur within 10 seconds, then wait 5 minutes before notifying again. So we'll get 3 initial messages, then a 5-minute wait period. This will stagger messages, allowing us to take corrective actions during that sleep period. The last setting on the screen is to consolidate notifications for barrage or event storm protection. We can use this option when we're expecting potentially hundreds of messages in a very short amount of time. And finally, we'll also want to leave this Box checked so that we don't get notifications on any historical data that may have been cached at the agent level during an outage where the ELM server was unavailable. Now for our terminal services disconnected example, assuming these are not Citrix or terminal servers, we'll go ahead and leave this notification with the default 1-to-1 setting. If these were Citrix or term servers, we would want to adjust these thresholds much higher. This next screen allows us to schedule when we want the notification method to be active. If another team is handling after hours and weekend calls, we can block out the times when this notification will be active. Selecting column headers and rows, we can change the schedule, shaded blue being on and white being off. The final step is to give the notification method a proper name and description. In the name field, it's always a good idea to include any information that we have custom configured. In this case, the specifics of the scheduled hours, and we can add that to the description field as well. This completes the step to connect our notification method to our term services disconnected event view. So we've completed the process. We have created a new email notification and connected it to an event view that filters specifically for terminal services disconnected events. While we customize this notification for business hours only, it is important to note that notifications in ELM can be reused with other event views. We could create a more generic notification method without the customized threshold settings or schedule and use it across multiple different views containing events we want to be notified on. This concludes the tutorial on the basics of notifications. Connecting a notification method to an event view for what you see is what you get simplicity. We hope that you enjoyed it and wish you continued success with ELM.